who will drive the number 10 car for Kauling Racing in the NASCAR Cup Series next year? And speaking of the number 10, let's check out my newest top 10 in my NASCAR Cup Series power rankings. Welcome back to another episode of Talkin NASCAR. I'm your host, Andrew. Hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. Got a great show on hand for you guys today. We are approaching quickly on the month of July. I'm recording this on the night of June 30th. First day of July is tomorrow at the time of recording, so you'll probably be hearing this on the 1st of July. So happy July, everyone, and hope you're all ready for a very exciting 250th anniversary of America on July 4th, Independence Day. I know I cannot wait. I'm going to be having so much fun this weekend in a completely legal way if it's not already said whatsoever. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into this show. Got a lot of great stuff coming up here today. But let's start by getting on with a NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series recap from this past weekend in Sonoma, where, no surprise, it was Shane Van Gisbergen picking up another win in the O'Reilly Series at Sonoma. He goes on to sweep the weekend in the Cup Series race on Sunday, but on Saturday, SVG dominated the way. He started from the pole, was able to lead all the way to the end and win the race. So, big win for SVG in the number 9 car for Junior Motorsports. His other part-time teammate of Connor Zilic in the 1 car for JRM, also in second place, who started in 30th place, managed to rally to come to finish in a second place finish. Brent Cruz, who started on the front row with Shane Van Gisbergen, ends up in third place. Anthony Alfredo and Parker Retzlaff, the two Viking Motorsports teammates, in 4th and 5th. 2 top 5s for the team, something that hasn't been done in a little while. And I believe this is Anthony Alfredo's first top 10 since, I believe, top 5, since 2022. So, big day for Anthony Alfredo and huge for both drivers' push towards the chase. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. Carson Kvapil driving for DGM Motorsports, the small team owned by Mario Gosselin, in 6th place. One of the last starts that Carson is going to have in that number 91 car. Very good day for him. Corey Day in 7th place. Sam Mayer in 8th. Jesse Love and Sheldon Creed would round out the top 10. Then Sammy Smith, Austin Green in the number 87 for Peterson Racing in 12th. William Swalch, Raja Caruth, and Ryan Sieg will round out the top 15. An uncharacteristic bad finish for Justin Allgaier, finishing outside the top 25 and 26th. Same thing for Taylor Gray, who started in 3rd place, finishes in 29th. And then as well, Ross Chastain and Brandon Jones, two very solid NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series drivers. Chastain driving for Jordan Anderson, part-time this year, making another part-time start in 37th and 36th. But taking a look at the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series standings, Justin Allgaier still in front by a very large margin over Jesse Love and Corey Day. Over 200 points between Love and Allgaier. And at the moment, looking at the chase bubble for the O'Reilly Series, Taylor Gray is the last driver in over his teammate of William Sawalich, who is now outside of the chase. He's 20 points back. Brent Cruz, the second driver in, is in by 21. He's now climbed up into the chase. And then Sam Mayer, Parker Retzlaff are now also in. Retzlaff still hanging around the top 10. Mayer now inside the top 10, so that's huge for that team. Raja Caruth also out of the chase. Ryan Sieg is making some ground up on the chase cutoff line as well. Raja Caruth is 26 points out. Ryan Sieg is 46 points out. And then Anthony Alfredo on back are all out by quite a large margin. So going to need a lot for all of them to make up ground on some of even the chase guys, the first chase guys out. So Alfredo is definitely the guy that can do it with how well he's been performing and how well his teammate of Retzlaff has been performing. But definitely an uphill battle for everyone for Alfredo on back in the standings. And a quick little Craftsman Truck Series chase updates and the points update as well. Lane Riggs still holds a 65-point advantage over Caden Honeycutt in 2nd place. Jake Garcia is currently the last driver in. He is currently 5 points in over Grant Enfinger in the 9, who has really rallied. Stuart Friesen, the next full-time driver who has fallen out of the chase after these last couple weeks, is out by 10 points. And then Brendan Queen only out by 11, and Justin Haley is only out by 22 points. Also, keep your eye out for Tanner Gray. I know he's not had an amazing season up to this point, but Tanner Gray, driving a Tricon truck, he's known to have some very solid runs here and there, so I would not rule out Tanner Gray as well in that Tricon number 15. Moving on, though, talking about the other Gray brother, Taylor Gray has signed a new 1-year contract extension with Joe Gibbs Racing to remain with the team in the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Taylor Gray is currently in the midst of his second full-time NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series season, his third full-time NASCAR National Series season. He had one previous full-time season in the Craftsman Truck Series with Tricon Garage. Currently, Taylor finds himself in 12th place, like I already mentioned, the last driver in the chase at this current moment. Last year, he was a little bit higher in the standings. He was up inside the top 10, so has been a little bit of a decrease in production from Taylor Gray, but still, he is a very solid driver in the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Taylor has been knocked down a couple pegs in Toyota's development rankings. He's been surpassed by guys like Corey Heim and most recently Brent Cruz. But I do think Taylor Gray is a guy that can reach the NASCAR Cup Series level. I do think he has that talent. I think he is better than a guy like Riley Herbst to some degree. So I do believe that as well. So I think there is a chance that maybe sometime in the future Taylor Gray can score a NASCAR Cup Series ride. But for now, it does seem like he will be sticking around in the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series with Joe Gibbs Racing for one more year, which I do like. It will be seeming like next year he will be one of the leaders in that garage in the O'Reilly series. He'll be working with Brandon Jones most likely. Once again, it sounds like William Sawalich, it does sound like will still be with the team next year. At this current moment, we haven't heard anything about else otherwise, so I just naturally am going to assume that Brandon Jones and William Sawalich are going to stick around. Now that we know that Taylor Gray is 100% going to stick around with the team next year, he's going to be going to be the guy that Joe Gibbs Racing is going to be looking at and heavily eyeing under a microscope because to see if he is going to be a guy that could have a future in the Cup Series. I think he can. I think William Sawalich can as well. I think both are very underrated in the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, just with how much shine that Brent Cruz is getting. I think both of them have a chance to do some really good things in the series. So happy for Taylor Gray to be getting another year with JGR in the O'Reilly Series. We'll see what he can do for the rest of this year and what he'll do next year. Now, moving on, though, let's talk about an incident that occurred on Sunday in Sonoma, and specifically, we're going to talk about Denny Hamlin. Hamlin was leading the way on the front row on a restart in Sonoma after the only caution for the race for cause, which was caused by Josh Berry getting spun out by the two of Austin Cindric. Anyways, Hamlin was leading the way. He led most of that first lap, but heading down through the carousel, or not the carousel, heading down the short chute into, I believe it was turn maybe 13, maybe 12, I can't exactly remember, but Hamlin ended up getting spun out by the number 77 of Carson Hocevar. Hocevar was the one that made the contact that sent Hamlin spinning out into the grass, and Hamlin naturally put the blame on Carson Hocevar since he was the guy that hit Denny Hamlin in the right rear and sent Hamlin spinning out on that restart, and that ruined Denny Hamlin's day, had him finishing outside the top 25, still managed to walk out of Sonoma with the points lead by one singular point over his own driver of Tyler Reddick. But after the race, Carson Hocevar did clarify with the media and clarified saying that, hey, I didn't intentionally wreck Hamlin. I wasn't even the one that, overdrove the corner. I got hit from behind by the 6 of Brad Keselowski. And then on Monday, Brad Keselowski posted on X saying that he got hit from behind as well, and that's what sent him into Carson Hocevar. So Keselowski's not the one to blame. Alex Bowman, the guy that was behind him, is the one to blame. So that's been a bit of a hot topic over the last couple days on social media and NASCAR. So, in my opinion, however, I don't think there's really anyone to blame in this case because you're diffusing the blame on so many different people. It sounds like it's all a big, it's just a racing incident. It's something that happens. It's a chain reaction event. One guy gets hit from behind, hits another guy in front of them, and that guy in front of him, Hocevar in this case, hits Denny Hamlin and spins him out. So the way I see it, it's just a racing incident. This can happen to anybody. So I'm not going to put the blame on anyone. I do think, though, that Hocevar does deserve to be, scrutinized a little bit because this has, happened several times in Hocevar's career and many times in the past 2 seasons, and more often than not, Hocevar is the guy to blame. And it does seem like that Carson Hocevar is the guy at the center of some of these crashes and spins and wrecks. Just look at Michigan from a couple weeks ago when Hocevar caused that massive wreck on the restart. But still, in this case, I am not going to put the sole blame on Carson Hocevar, even though he does have a reputation at this point, and it's natural for Denny Hamlin to be the one that jumps to the conclusions and is the first to point the fingers at the guy that has a reputation. So I can't fault Denny Hamlin at all, but still, this overall does seem like just a racing incident, a little bit of a stack up and chain reaction event spins Hamlin out on the restart. What are you going to do? Moving on now, we got to focus on some NASCAR Cup Series silly season news. And to be honest, I was going to talk about this last week when I talk about the Dodge rumors that they may be jumping up to the Cup Series in 2027. And it has to do with Kauling Racing and the number 10 car. Again, I was going to talk about this last week, but I completely just overlooked it. And I think it is a good idea that I did. I feel like it needs to be its own separate conversation here in this episode. So, with that, who is going to drive the number 10 car in Kauling's number 10 car next season in the NASCAR Cup Series? The current driver, Ty Dillon, let's just say he's not having the best season. Currently finds himself in 33rd place. He has 0 top 5s, 0 top 10s, as an average finish of 25.7. It's not been a good year for Ty Dillon, especially compared to last year, which was a little bit better for Ty, but still not as successful as Ty Dillon been this year. So he still has time to turn it around, but with the equipment that he's running in, which is basically a zombie Chevy for Kauling, since Chevrolet has basically cut off all support, it doesn't seem like Ty Dillon's going to do much. It can do much more with what he has. But again, we'll see what Ty Dillon can do. He did miss out on the in-season challenge, unfortunately, so that definitely kind of sucks. But no, the first option for Kauling in that 10 car for next year is to have Ty Dillon return to this seat next year. And I think this is a little bit of an interesting case because I think if Dodge does truly intend to join the Cup Series next year in 2027 full time, and Kauling, based on all the rumors and speculation, Kauling would be the team, I don't think Ty Dillon gets it. Ty Dillon has connections to Chevrolet. He's the grandson of Richard Childress, is the brother to Austin Dillon. That entire family just has so many connections to Chevrolet. I don't think it would be, very likely that Ty Dillon would switch manufacturers to go to Ram. Granted, Ty has raced for Toyota before with, I believe, the Gaunt brothers, number 96, when all the Chevrolet rides ran out after he lost his ride at Germain Racing and that team folded. So it has been happening before for Ty, but, the thing that he would want to do is stick with Chevrolet and stick with that manufacturer. It's just a family thing. I think that's really likely, but if Kauling does choose to continue running with Chevrolets next year and Dodge is not ready, most likely I would think Ty Dillon would probably get this seat again. He brings sponsorship, he brings funding, he has good relationship with sponsors, and he keeps the car clean most of the time. He doesn't get into too many wrecks. He brings the car home nice and clean, which is very critical for a team like Kauling, who, again, may be gearing up to join Dodge. I keep saying Ram. To join Dodge next year or in coming years as their new new ambassador for joining the Cup Series and being the anchor team for the new manufacturer in Dodge. However, if Dodge does decide to move up to the Cup Series next year and Kauling does go immediately head over to Dodge and be their new anchor team, I don't think that Ty Dillon sticks around. So who could replace Ty Dillon next year? Well, a new rumor has been circulating about 2 possible drivers that could be part of the mix for the 10-car ride next season. The first guy is Corey LaJoie. Now, Corey LaJoie is currently driving for Kauling Racing in the Craftsman Truck Series, driving the number 10 truck full-time now that Daniel Dye has been released from that ride. And, Corey LaJoie, he's not doing too bad. He's, definitely towards the bottom of the full-time drivers in the series, only ahead of Frankie Muniz, but that's in not nearly the same amount of starts that Frankie has had so far this year. So it's not been a great year for Corey. He has 2 top 10s on the year, has a 21st place average finish. So it's nothing special, but I think the thing you're getting with Corey LaJoie here is that he has NASCAR Cup Series experience, and he does have experience with being a guy that helps build a program, which is what he did with Spire Motorsports a couple years ago when the team first started, and he helped build that program, but when the lights got too bright and there were actual expectations on him, he kind of crumbled under the light, and that's why he's no longer employed at Spire, because they expect results, and Corey can't give that to them. Just simply the fact that Corey could not give it to them. Now, going back to Kauling, being the first year with Ram, he hasn't exactly delivered, but I still think that if Corey does get the promotion up to the Cup Series, it's a good opportunity for him because it gives him a chance to prove himself at the Cup level once again. And it's another opportunity for him to help build a program like he did with Spire, with Kauling now being in their first year with Dodge. Not to mention he's good with sponsors as well. He's has longtime partnerships with Schluter Systems for several years. They've been a big partner for him. He's got his own podcast, a very good brand ambassador with Stacking Pennies. So he's as much as a divisive figure that he is in the NASCAR media world and just NASCAR in general, he still is a good figure and he's still a good relationship with sponsors, despite the sour taste that he's left in our mouths with the comments about the Truck Series. Still, Corey is still a very, solid driver overall, which I don't think Kauling would be mad about putting him in their Cup ride next year. And the other guy is Justin Haley, and this makes a lot of sense as well because Justin Haley is a former driver with Kauling. Back in 2023, which was his last year in the Cup Series with Kauling, he drove for them in the 31. He drove with them in the 2022 in the 31. He had been with the team prior in the O'Reilly Series. He'd helped build that program up, became their first full-time driver in the series. So Haley has Cup Series experience, hasn't driven in the Cup Series full-time since last year with Spire Motorsports in the 7, got replaced by Daniel Suarez, fell back down to the Truck Series with Kauling Racing. So for him to jump back up to the Cup Series, it makes sense. He has experience in the series. He has, familiarity in the building with Kauling. And again, he's similar to Corey LaJoie. He's familiar with building programs and specifically with Kauling Racing. So it's a guy that Kauling likes in Justin Haley. I really like Justin Haley. I want him to do well. I think he does have pretty solid skills to drive. I don't think he's going to do anything special. Like, he's not a championship contender level potential with Justin Haley, but definitely a very solid driver in the Cup Series level is Justin Haley. So with that being said, I think that if Kauling does not move over to Dodge and Dodge does not jump up to the Cup Series next year, they probably still stick with Ty Dillon full-time next year. But if if Dodge does jump up to the Cup Series next year with Kauling, I do think they replace Ty Dillon in the 10 with Justin Haley. And the reason that being is that, Justin Haley, for one, has outperformed Corey LaJoie this year. And two, Justin Haley has familiarity with the program. He's familiar with his teammate of AJ Allmendinger. I think it's a good fit for Justin Haley and Kauling. It's something that's just, meant to be, I feel like. And that sounds a little corny, but my point still stands here. I think Haley, Kauling mesh really well together. Chris Rice, Matt Kauling, they really like Haley. Haley works well with the Kauling guys. I think it's a good idea for him to at least get a shot in the Cup Series with Kauling Racing. Because last year, even with Spire, with Rodney Childers and Cheddar Smith, they look pretty good. Like, Haley looked pretty solid. I remember Bristol, he was up front a good amount. And, of course, Joe Gibbs poached away Cheddar Smith. Rodney Childers left the sport. Now he's working with Connor Zilic, Carson Gvoppel in the number 1 car down the O'Reilly Series. So, in my opinion, that's out of Justin Haley's control. So, I'm not really going to fault that on him. So, I would like to see Justin Haley get another opportunity. So, let me know down in the comments who you think should be taking the role of the 10 seat next year, depending on manufacturers. But again, let me know down in the comments who should take the 10 car next season for Kauling. Now, moving on real quick before we get to power rankings, let's go ahead and take a look at the in-season challenge matchups for this upcoming weekend in Chicagoland. So we'll go ahead and go by seeds. Starting off here with Denny Hamlin versus Eric Jones. I'm predicting that Denny Hamlin will get this win. It's a return to the mile and a halves with Denny Hamlin. He's been very good on the mile and a halves this year. I predict Denny Hamlin will get past Eric Jones, even though Eric Jones has shown very good speed on mile and a halves recently. Ryan Blaney against Shane Van Gisbergen. It's another one. I have Blaney getting past SVG without any mechanical issues for Blaney. Again, just on mile and a halves, he's just clearly better than SVG, even though SVG has made improvements. Next up, Chase Elliott versus Michael McDowell. Again, it's a Chase Elliott pick here. McDowell, he just hasn't looked very good on ovals this year. He hasn't looked very competitive. He's had to use pit strategy, which may work, and Travis Peterson might throw that into the ring to get them some track position, and maybe we'll finish ahead of Chase Elliott. But Chase Elliott just flat out beats Michael McDowell on pace. And then next up, we got two teammates, back-to-back teammate matchups of Gibbs and Briscoe and then Larson and Byron. Starting with Gibbs and Briscoe, I think, call me crazy, I think I might have Chase Briscoe here. I like the veteran experience of Chase Briscoe compared to Ty Gibbs, especially when I think Chase Briscoe did drive on Chicagoland in the O'Reilly series back in the day. So, with that being said, I think I'm going to take Chase Briscoe over Ty Gibbs in this scenario because I'm leaning on the experience of Chase Briscoe and his ability to, save tires a little bit more than Ty Gibbs because Chicagoland is an old, worn out surface. So I do think I'm going to bet on that a little bit more than Ty Gibbs. And then we got Kyle Larson versus William Byron. Again, two teammates going at it. I'm going to take Kyle Larson. He has been better than William Byron this entire season. The standings reflect it. No disrespect to William Byron, who could have a week where he breaks out and surprises us and gets past Kyle Larson. But still, I'm going with Kyle Larson. Been extremely consistent. I see that continuing in Chicagoland. Chris Buescher versus Christopher Bell is the next matchup. And I think this one is a little bit interesting. Guys, man. Buescher has been good. He's a higher seed than Bell. Buescher's coming off a rough weekend in Sonoma. Bell had a really good weekend in Sonoma. We're heading to a mile and a half, which should take the load off Christopher Bell's fractured wrist. I do think, 1-to-1 pace-wise, Bell might have Buescher beat. I just don't know if I like the consistency of Christopher Bell. And Buescher's just been so consistent. I can, guarantee him a top 15 run pretty much every week. But Bell can give you a top 10, top 5 run, no way, or just easily. So that's a tough one. I might have to come back to that one in just a moment. I'll talk about Hocevar versus Todd Gilliland, which is the other matchup. I'm going with Hocevar. He can flat out beat Todd Gilliland on pace every single week, no matter what track type. So I'm going with Hocevar. And then Austin Cindric versus Alex Bowman. This is, I think this one, no disrespect to both of these guys, Cindric and Bowman, this might be the most battle of mid I've ever seen. I'm not going to lie, because Bowman, he had a top 10 in Sonoma. Cindric had a solid finish in Sonoma, top 15. But on Mountain Halves, I have no idea what to think, because these two could be running right around each other on this track. So, yeah, I don't know what that one. That's like a coin flip. I think, you know what, I am going to ride the underdog story of Alex Bowman. I'm going to say it. I think Hendrick Power can beat Penske Power every single day. Can Bowman beat Cindric? I don't know about that, but I'm going to go ahead and take the underdog with Alex Bowman. Back to Chris Buescher versus Christopher Bell. I think that's another tough one. It's getting a 7-10 matchup. It's a pretty close match. So, I don't know here. This is a tough one. Again, I like the consistency of Buescher, but Bell can break out for a really good finish right out of the gate. So, with that being said, I think, this is tough. I think I am going to go with Christopher Bell over Chris Buescher. I'm going to go in with Christopher Bell. I think that there is a better chance that Bell does score a top 10 more than Chris Buescher scoring a top 10 this week. I think Bell can outrun Buescher if they both have good days where they execute. And Bell, again, with that fractured wrist, does give me a little bit of pause, and which is how inconsistent he's been this year. But I do remember Nashville. He was very good there. He was very good at Charlotte on the mile and a halves in the Coke 600. So recently, on mile and a halves, Bell has been very good. Meanwhile, Chris Buescher has struggled just a little bit. So I'm going to go with Christopher Bell over Chris Buescher. But at the end of the day, anything can happen in NASCAR, so we'll just have to all stay tuned and see what happens in Chicagoland on Sunday. But now it is time to move on to the final segment of today's show, my NASCAR Cup Series Power Rankings, where I rank the top 10 drivers in the sport. So let's see where the top 10 are this week. Starting out here with a couple of honorable mentions. First, I got Ross Chastain, who I've been kind of impressed with over the last 3 weeks. Back-to-back top 10s at Pocono and San Diego, and then the 14th at Sonoma, which is nothing to shy about at all, especially when Ross Chastain started in 5th place at Sonoma, which kind of out of the blue, I'm not going to lie. So I've been impressed with Chastain. He's still got a lot of work to do to get into the top 10 and back into the chase. But I can't deny, Ross Chastain has been doing some good things as of late in what has been a very disappointing season for Trackhouse in this one team. So I got an honorable mention for Ross Chastain. And then for Shane Van Gisbergen, another honorable mention. Just picked up the win in Sonoma. He looked very good in San Diego once again, but just hasn't been very consistent over the last couple weeks. So again, he gets the win. He deserves an honorable mention. He got himself back in the chase, but the last 3 weeks have been kind of rough for SVG. So giving him an honorable mention after his win in Sonoma. But kicking off the top 10, we have Christopher Bell back inside the top 10 in the power rankings after a really solid top 5 result at Sonoma. A huge bounce back for Bell after 3 really rough weekends in Michigan, Pocono, and last weekend in San Diego where he only turned a couple of laps. But in the 4 races that Bell has started and finished and completed as many laps as he could before he DNF'd in a couple of them, Bell had speed in all of them, pretty much. Pocono, a little bit on the borderline and could be debatable, but definitely in Sonoma. Michigan had speed before he got taken out in that massive Chase Elliott wreck. Nashville as well, the Coca-Cola 600 as well. He had speed on all those tracks. So Bell, prior to Pocono and San Diego, was looking very, very solid. Now he's getting back on track at Sonoma. I will not be surprised if Bell does climb up higher in the power rankings after this weekend in Chicagoland. At number 9, still holding on, we got Carson Hocevar in the 77. 2 very interesting weeks in Pocono, San Diego, back-to-back. Didn't finish inside the top 15 in either one of them, but gets a top 15 in Sonoma after Michigan and gets a top 5. Nashville gets a top 10. San Diego, he definitely had speed as well. He was in contention for the win with Reddick and Corey Heim before Corey Heim, after 4 years of waiting, finally paid it back Carson Hocevar. So Hocevar, as of late, has had speed. So we'll see if that continues in Chicagoland, a track where he will be tested with that high tire wear, rough surface on a mile and a half. But Hocevar's been very good on a mile and a half, so we'll have to wait and see there. I got Hocevar at 9. At number 8, down 1 spot, I have Chris Buescher in the 17 team. I thought Chris Buescher was going to do very well at Sonoma. 3 straight races of being inside the top 10, almost at a top 5 in San Diego last week after 2 really rough weekends in Nashville and the Coca-Cola 600 in Charlotte. Came back down to earth a little bit, finished outside the top 15 and 19th. So very interesting weekend in Sonoma. I thought he would be doing so much better, but we'll see if Chris Buescher can rebound in Chicagoland. He's very consistent. Again, he can almost guarantee you top 15 every single week. And when he doesn't have a top 15 result at the bare minimum, you're kind of thinking, what happened? What went wrong for that 17 team? So Buescher, very consistent, very solid. We'll see if he can rebound in Chicagoland. At number 7, up 1 spot now, we have Chase Briscoe in the number 19 team. Very good weekend in Sonoma. 2nd place runner-up to Shane Van Gisbergen. Was challenging him for the win. Fortunately, couldn't quite get there, but Chase Briscoe over the last couple weeks has been very, very solid. Excluding San Diego, 2nd place at Pocono, 10th at Michigan, and then 3rd at Nashville, and the Coca-Cola 600 as well was very, very solid as well. So Chase Briscoe, he's been trending up. He's been very close to a couple wins here and there. Just hasn't quite put it all together yet. So we'll see if Chase Briscoe can do that coming up later this weekend in Chicagoland. At number 6, down 1 spot, however, I have Chase Elliott. Another just kind of mediocre weekend for Chase Elliott. It's been kind of that way for the last 3 weeks. Last 3 races for Elliott, including Sonoma, 11th, 12th, and 17th. Been trending down, and Michigan, he had some speed, but unfortunately got caught up in that massive crash. And that was coming off a top 10 in Nashville, so things have not been going very great for Chase Elliott, but I think that Chase Elliott can turn it around eventually, and we'll get back into his consistent top 10 ways in Chicagoland. We'll see how he does there. Mile and a half has been good to Chase Elliott. He got his win there at Texas. He's gotten a win at Kansas recently. We'll see if Chase Elliott can turn it around at Chicagoland. At number 5, I got Ty Gibbs. Been a little bit of an up and down stretch for Ty Gibbs as of late. Just got a top 5 and a 3rd place at Sonoma. Had a top 15 in San Diego last week, and then a top 10 in Pocono the week before that. Then the 25th in Michigan, though he was caught up in an accident. Showed some good speed before that, and then the top 15 in Nashville. So a little bit up and down for Ty Gibbs, but still, he's had top 15 speed in pretty much every single one of those races. So he's been very, very solid. Overall, very, very good. He's currently sitting in 4th in the regular season standings, chasing Tyler Reddick and Denny Hamlin for the top spots. He's behind Ryan Blaney as well. We'll see if Ty Gibbs can step it up a little bit more and really insert himself into the regular season champion conversation. At number 4, I have Ryan Blaney. He has been extremely impressive these last 5 weeks. The last 5 weeks for Ryan Blaney have been top 10s in each of them. Sonoma, 6th. San Diego, 9th. Pocono, 10th. Michigan, 8th. Nashville, 8th as well. Blaney has been extremely consistent. Some can argue right now that he may be a sneaky dark horse number 1 driver in the Cup Series at this current moment. He has been so good. Absolutely. Will this be the week that Ryan Blaney really punches through and gets another win on the season? We'll have to wait and see. But I got Ryan Blaney at number 4. At number 3, I have Tyler Reddick down 2 spots from last weekend in San Diego. And yeah, it's been a little rough for Tyler Reddick these last few weeks. Sonoma had a mechanical issue, finished in last place. San Diego got spun out, had a tire issue. He ended up in 25th, even though he was leading until his teammate Corey Heim picked up the victory. And the week before that, used some strategy to pick up the second place finish at Pocono. Michigan finished in 35th, another DNF. Nashville 6th. It's just been a bit of a tough stretch for Tyler Reddick, especially when his car owner of Denny Hamlin has been extremely impressive and has gone on to take the championship points lead. Now, can Tyler Reddick make up those points and turn it back around in Chicagoland? I think he absolutely can. It's another mile and a half. 2311 Racing and Tyler Reddick have been very, very good on that track type. We'll see if Reddick can retake the championship points lead in Chicagoland this upcoming weekend. At number 2, all the way up there, moving up a couple spots, we have Kyle Larson. These last 4 races for Larson, all top 5s. Last 4 finishes, 4th, 3rd, 5th, 4th. And then in Nashville, where he finished 23rd, he was running up inside the top 10, but unfortunately got wrecked. So, in my opinion, Larson should have 4 consecutive top 10s, maybe 4 consecutive top 5s. Larson has been extremely consistent. You think of like how good Ryan Blaney has been over these last 5 races. Larson has been just a little bit better, like a lot better, I would say in some cases. Larson is very close to getting that win and breaking that winless streak. He's right there. He's right there. Maybe this will come in Chicagoland, where he tried to pull that slide job on Kyle Busch back in 2018?
Bottom of the slide job, trying to take the lead away. Slide job.
Anyways, I got Kyle Larson heading into Chicagoland at number 2. But at number 1, once again, I have Denny Hamlin. And the reason I have Denny Hamlin is that I think that he has a legitimate chance to win in Chicagoland, like he did on many mile and a halves before this. At Nashville, in the Coca-Cola 600, he was up at the front. At Michigan as well. I know these past couple weeks have been rough for Hamlin, but that's to be expected. They're road courses. Hamlin is not a road course racer. And to his credit, he finished at the top 15 in San Diego last week in a brand new road course, and then he qualified in the top 10 at Sonoma. And if it were not for, the chain reaction, spin on that restart that I talked about, Hamlin probably would be in the top 10 once again. So Hamlin has figured something out on road courses. And I don't think that's necessarily going to translate to, a mile and a half. But I think that, that success, that speed will just, be extra motivation, extra momentum for Denny Hamlin heading into Chicagoland this upcoming weekend. So there you go. That's my top 10. Real quick, it is Denny Hamlin at number 1, Kyle Larson at number 2, Tyler Reddick at 3, Ryan Blaney at 4, Ty Gibbs at 5, Chase Elliott at 6, 7 Chase Briscoe, 8 Chris Buescher, 9 Carson Osvar, and 10 Christopher Bell, with the honorable mentions being Shane Van Gisbergen and Ross Chastain. But that will do it for this episode of Talkin NASCAR, everyone. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for tuning in. This will probably be the last episode, the last show before the 4th of July. I plan to take some time off at the beginning of the month to just, relax, have some fun with my friends and my family. So hope you all do the same as well. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, follow the show so you never miss another episode, and you'll get a notification whenever whenever a new episode of Talkin NASCAR is released. And if you haven't already, go check out Talking Sports with Miles and Andrew. I'll have links to the Spotify and the YouTube channel down in the description below. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.